Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on House of Lancaster. Today we're going to be doing a dedicated build order on how to play fast 3-mana Lancaster Levy into a fast castle. So it's a really strong timing build because what you're doing is you're essentially booming, and then you on top of that have some Demilancer harass going with the manors. You get extra Demilancers, I'll explain more about how that works later, into a fast castle where you can spam knights against armored units. You can start going second TC, course, take your relics and all of those things. It's a really clean build with a strong timing that most civs can't punish. So I am aware that the build currently might get nerfed because the civ is looking to probably get nerfed very soon. And so I will, of course, make an update if needed on the build. So you can check that out later on if they do go with the nerf hammer. Anyways, let's get into it. As usual, with all of these build orders that I make, you can find the transcription of the build in the description below. You can find the macro tab, all that you need to do for the build order, and some additional hints and tips for how to play out the civilization. So House of Lancaster early on doesn't really differ too much from other civilizations. You're going to do a 6-3 opener instead of a 6-2 because you have a faster sheep gather rate. It's about 20% faster right now, and you spawn with extra sheep. So instead of 5 sheep, you spawn with an extra 4, so 9 in total. What you're going to do is you are going to send all your vills to food. You're going to queue up vills, send your scout out. Scout just goes to the middle of the map as usual. And then you can go for an aggressive scouting route. And the cool thing about having this many sheep is you can go for a longer time. So you don't have to get back with sheep at like 3 minutes, which is the usual one, because you've spawned with that extra 800 food in base. Now, you're going to build a house. Then you're going to rally to gold, 3 vills, and then you rally back to food. It's that simple. You build the house with a food bill. So you have your initial 6 in food, then 3 to gold, and then you rally back to food until you can age up. The cool thing about House of Lancaster is you can typically age up at about 150. It's really fast that way. Sometimes I've gotten to 148, but about that 150 mark is really good. Then with that age up, you're going to age up with 3 gold vills because they're just going to stay here forever. You're going to build your Lancaster castle on your gold because you're typically going to be able to get stone, all of the stone you need at 5 minutes. And then that's usually when people have aggression coming anyway. So if you just scout a little bit, then you will know what's coming and you can make adjustments that way, which I highly encourage, right? If you're up against somebody who's spamming knights, your Lancaster castle is not something you can garrison, but there is something you can do in terms of your layout that makes it easy to defend against early raids. I do, however, recommend making a few spears in a situation like that, but I'll show you another game after where I'm doing that. Alright, so now we're aging up. We're going to age up with our 3 vills here. As you can see, we did overgather a little bit, so it was possible for us to age up quicker. Anyways, we did it at about 156, 158 here. Now we sent 6 vills to wood from food. One of them builds the lumber camp, the rest just starts gathering because there's a little bit of chop time here, so it syncs up quite nicely. You drop off your sheep if you need to, but you could also stay out and scout for longer. Then, when you have 3 on food like this, it's actually going to be enough, but you will have to do a little bit of drop off. So if you're a little bit curious on how to optimize your food income, just, monitor your food here and then how much your vills are carrying, then you can do drop offs. Otherwise, just keep 4 on food. You're going to delay your manners a little bit, but it doesn't matter that much. You just want to have constant villager production. All right. Now we rally onto stone. We have 3 in food, 6 in wood, and now we start rallying onto stone until we have 5 on stone. That's simple. So you're not going to do much more than that. 5 to stone, and then you rally back to wood until you have 3 manors. After that, we do a castle split. Castle split meaning we are macroing towards Castle Age. So now we build our mining camp. We're carrying 10 stone here. You can build it before you start gathering if you want to. Doesn't really matter too much. So now we have rallied. We have our wood vills over here. We're aging up with our Lancaster castle and with our 3 gold vills. And we're scouting our opponent, trying to figure out what is he doing. Alright, so what is our goal here? Well, our goal is to get 3 manors in total. The way that we want to build them is by taking a gold villager and then instantly building a manor upon our age up. Because if we do it instantly, then we can skip out on the house and we will therefore be able to save 50 wood, which is huge. So once you go to 1100 stone, you know you have enough stone for the first manor, which will usually line up with your age up timing here. So now we can do a drop off and we have enough wood and stone for manors. They cost 100 stone and 200 wood. We built the manors in a position like this that goes around the gold because they end up acting like towers and they do 8 damage, I believe, which is a lot. 8 damage is good damage against armored units, especially in Feudal Age, they typically have 3 armor or 2 armor. So you will do 5 or 6 damage. And that makes it really, really costly to dive your gold. And you're going to have a lot of vills here later. Now you can start your second manor with another gold vill. And we've also rallied back to wood. We still have 5 on stone. And we have that until we've gathered down to 900 stone. So just click your stone and then take a look. Or just look at your bank. Make sure you're not over gathering. You want this to be kind of sharp. Double manor. And then once you have the stone for it, and your wood for it, then you build the last manor. And the thing is, if you build them inside of this area of influence here, then you're gonna give them the emplacement buff, and they're gonna be able to give you some defense that way. So they get arrow slits and 500 more health. So you always want to build them inside of this area here. You're not really going to reserve this for farms or anything. This is for manors, because it buffs up your defense. In a moment here, we'll have enough wood. And then once we have enough wood, you know that you have to re-macro now, because we're not going to gather any more wood in the Feudal Age. We have now got our manor, the third one, being constructed at about 5 minutes. And now we're going to gather with 12 on gold in total. One of them is constructing right now. And we're going to rally onto food. That's going to give you a really, really nice 7 minute and 15 second timing on your castle age. You're going to be able to age up at 7:15. You're going to do that with 8, 10, 12 vills. And then in the meantime, you're going to be raiding with Demilancers. So let me explain how that works. It's very simple. You have an upgrade here, or a defensive ability. It costs 250 gold and 150 food. And what it does is, for every manor you have, you get a Demilancer plus another 2 Demilancers for your Lancaster Castle, which means we get 5 of them. But we don't need to wait until the manors are done until we can levy. So when we levy the 2 Demilancers, our third manor is not done yet, which is why this build is so effective, because we get the Demilancers out much faster than any other builds out there. No other builds are currently doing this. Most other builds that I've seen, they're going for a fast manor opener where they're gathering stone and wood in the Dark Age, and that's really not what we want to go for. We don't want to go 6 manors in the Feudal Age and sacrifice in our Castle Age timing, because it gives our opponents enough time to get enough units out and start doing damage to our actual economy setup before we're able to go Castle Age. So we don't need to get that greedy. We're going to get a nice boost from this, even though we don't have 3 extra manors on top of it. It's also quite expensive to get the additional manor limit, plus every manor is 300. So it's 900 resources plus another 350. So 1250 resources extra just to get 3 more manors. And that takes a long time to pay off. Sure, they give you back, 115 food and wood? Sorry, 115 resources total. And so that's like, 4 minutes of payoff until 3 manors have paid that back. But that's also your timing there. That's almost a Castle Age. So I would really advise not going for 6 mana boom or 9 mana boom unless you're up against somebody who goes 2C already. That's the only situation where I would think that is good. And even in that situation, I would still go Castle Age. Because then you can get your relics, you can go for your second TC after, and have a much better late game because you will have 4 or 5 relics. Alright, let's get back to the build. So, we are still rallying onto food. We have our vills and gold, our 12 total here. The third one is building the manor, and it's halfway done right now. Now, if you just follow the build, you don't have to monitor how long that has passed. But we know that the upgrade here takes 30 seconds. So if you're halfway done, then you are half of 45 seconds, which is, less than 30 seconds. Anyways, my whole point is, you click this upgrade, the manor will be done before the upgrade is fully through, and so you get your 5 Demilancers. Just make sure that you're halfway through the manor. Now we dropped off our gold. And with this gold drop off, we can click Muster the Nobles. Muster the Nobles, we get the 5 Demilancers. They come out of the Lancaster Castle. We can send them out and start harassing our opponent. My opponent currently is gathering from deer here. And maybe even boar. I don't know, not boar, just deer. And berries and all that. So there's a lot of food that he's getting there. So this timing here with the Demilancers, while we're booming, while we're going castle, we have basically 5 knights. That's huge. That's way more than any other civ can do right now. These 5 knights here have 8 base damage, which is kind of low. It's like the same as the spearmen, but they get upgraded tremendously in Castle Age because we have some upgrades there that give us +6 versus armored units, and also they also automatically get their veteran upgrade. They don't need to be upgraded manually. You don't have to pay for it. So fast castling behind this, keep your Demilancers alive, and they will last you through the Castle Age as well. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just splitting them. And then I start seeing, okay, my opponent's going for a Burgrave. I can now delay that a lot. But again, I don't want to, lose too much HP on my Demilancers either. So I just use it to delay. Cut them off gold. And then, of course, when you have mobility units like this, then you can just run around your opponent's base constantly. If they go for infantry units, then the infantry units will have to chase you. And you can definitely create space and time for you to get to Castle Age and get more units out to counter what they're making. So it's incredibly efficient to have fast cavalry units like this. So Demilancers hitting the food, hitting the gold. Sometimes, there's nothing to hit, but it's still really good to just have them for presence and pressure. So in the back, this is what's important. We have our 12 on gold. We're rallying onto food. It's so simple. Just 12, 12 and rally to food. And now here, in about a few seconds, we cancel this Vil here we have in the queue. We didn't. We actually just had all the food. So we have all the food now at 7:15-ish. We start aging up at 7:24. And now we have King's College coming through. So this is a really nice landmark. And it's a lot better than the White Tower. Because the White Tower, first of all, is not the same White Tower that English has. It can't produce. It's just a keep. It gives you 3 Earl Guards. But we want to go for King's College because King's College has some insane upgrades. Most people don't realize how strong these upgrades are and why we have to go for them. This is an absolutely integral part of this build because it's gonna make our Demilancers so much stronger. They're gonna scale well into Castle Age to deal with something like Man-at-Arms, for example. Everything gets a lot, stronger if you go for King's College. So we built 2 stables because we got all this wood passively from our manors. So now we can just get 2 stables, and we have just a rally on food at this point so that we can bank up resources to get the knights, because we want to make knights out of our stables. We're already on a cavalry unit, so maybe if your opponent's making a lot of spears, you might want to go for archers, but a lot of the times you can just keep making strong cavalry units. Now we're in the Castle Age, we can start producing knights, but what's most important is from the King's College that you get the Collar of Essus. The Collar of Essus is like a 300 cost upgrade. Actually, it looks like it's 298. It takes 45 seconds, and it makes Demilancers and knights have 6+ damage versus armored units. That's like +6 for 300 resources, which is like so much value. It makes it so that your Demilancers effectively kill men-at-arms and knights. Any sort of armored unit. So now we produce knights, we start going for relics, and we play out this sort of standard meta game that we have seen throughout the whole, history of the game, which is castle timing, take relics, then go 2DC or go all in. Very simple. We go back to food. And here you could even start mining more stone again and go for more manors if you wanted to do that. But what I want to do here, and notice how the Demilancers, by the way, they're already upgraded, so they do 10 damage now. That's a +2. Notice, that we're just going to go for knights now. We're just going to go aggressive while we take the relics. We're not rushing the eco because we're already much further ahead. So if you take a look at the income right now, we have 500 food per minute, which is twice as much as our opponent. We have over twice as much gold income, and we have just a little bit less wood, but notice we have 2 on wood. Our opponent has like 5, right? So it's like really crazy. We have Collar of Essus coming. And Collar of Essus is a really nice upgrade because, yeah, well, I've already talked about that, but you just have to get it when you go knights. Other upgrades from the landmark that you might want to consider is hill training. So in Castle Age, like late Castle, maybe Imperial, get hill training and get military academy, and your obelisk will take like 8 seconds to produce, 6 seconds to produce out of a stable, so you can get like 10 per stable per minute. And it's such a fast production, and your damage they get on charge makes them an incredible raiding unit. They also do extra damage to range units anyways, so it makes a lot of sense to have them for anything that is just running around the map. They do extra damage to siege and range units, and you produce them out of the stables. The obelisks here, they cost gold though. That's the hard part about them. If they cost wood, they would be absolutely broken. Other upgrades you want to get is Warwolf Trebuchet. So that makes it so that your Trebuchets have 50% extra health and they have 2 extra range, which makes them really effective. And you can use them against other keeps and stuff that have Trebuchets on them, like the what are they called? The Templars keeps, the fortresses. You have Burgundian imports, which makes you able to make hand cannons in Castle Age and reduce their cost by 25%. That means they cost 90 food and 90 gold, which is the same as Streltsy. And then you have military tactics training, which gives you 20% extra bonus damage on all your units. So if you have an Arbor that does 14 or 9 damage, I think it is, to range units, bonus damage, it'll do an extra 20%. Which is huge. And then the most broken of them all, if you're playing on water, what you have to go King's College there is to get Ship of the Crown. Ships of the Crown give you 20% health, 20% carrack damage, and 20% range on all your carracks. So, and that's like a 600 upgrade, 600 cost upgrade. And you pair that with Admiralty, and you have the most broken ships in the late game. They're probably as good as Boutrons with the Nesta Bees upgrade. Enough about upgrades. I'm just going to start messing knights now. This game is pretty much already over because he can just keep running after me. And if he takes a bad fight, which he will, my knights will do 30 damage to his men-at-arms. Then this game is over. I'm taking relics behind it. He's Castle Age, but he hasn't taken any relics himself. And you could just run around the map and raid indefinitely. So this is the way you play this build pretty much. Whatever you do after this is up to you, but I highly recommend keeping expanding. Here's some of the early fights that we take. I don't take too much of a fight here because I'm still waiting for a few knights, but I already half health all of his units here. In the meantime, I went for deer. Remember to get survival techniques here. You should also start getting your eco upgrades. But again, you are spending a lot of gold on these upgrades here for the military units and for the knights themselves. So just consider that. What I would recommend is open up with a few knights and the Demilancers, take relics, and then switch into spear crossbow. For now, we're just going to win this game because he's all in on the production here. So this fight here, I have made like, there's 5 knights in total here. And he's just going down so quickly. I'm barely losing any units by just microing my damaged ones away. And so the game's already over. That's just how crazy Lancaster is, and this timing is so insane, even against people who would try to do something like a Burgrave timing. So just as a little side note, I want to give some tips on defending early. It's quite simple. You're basically just gonna consider the civ that you're up against and then the counter units initially. Because you're still gonna be able to get a fast timing with the Demilancers, you still just don't want to get idled off gold early. Because if that happens, then your Demilancers don't come out in time and your opponent gets too much tempo built up. Especially in civs like French that like to go out in the deer early, you really just want to, you know, get a lot of map presence quick with the Demilancers. We are probably not going to be in a Pro Scout meta much more, and that means that we have to think about map control more. Map control is something that Lancaster doesn't really need too much of, they just need a lot of gold from the map. But Lancasters, they are able to contest a lot of enemy map resources due to the fact that they have a fast cavalry timing. So what are we doing here? We're doing the exact same build that I just showed before, so I'm not going to explain it again. We're then going 5 on gold, 5 on stone here. We have our 3 on gold, we're getting our fast manners. And then we know that our opponent just aged up. So he went for a deer opener, so he's up a little bit later than the fastest timings possible. So whether that's good or not, I don't know, but I know the production will definitely increase due to the fact that he's on deer. And then he will start sending out the knights. So the knights are kind of a problem for us early because even though we have all this defense on our manners, they can idle out our units a lot and delay our Castle Age timing. So what we want to do is we want to, of course, make sure that our wood line is safe, as we're going to gather a little bit of extra wood here. And then we're going to go ahead and build a barracks. So it's something that's very simple, such as just getting a few spears. But what I want to emphasize here is not making too many units, because you don't want to get to castle too late. The longer you stay in feudal, the more time you give your opponents to make army, and that's going to end up being worse for you. You instead want to get as fast as castle timing as possible. Even if you have to defend a bit in feudal, it's usually not a problem because you are Lancaster. You have a lot of income from the manors, so you are naturally ahead with like 12.5 vills. Then that's going to be fine. But you still don't want to stay too long in feudal because your strength lie in the Castle Age. Of course, yeomen are very strong, the billmen are very strong, giving you -2 on your enemies when you attack them. But as you can see here, we have facing a lot of idle time, and it's only one chivalry upgrade and then shuffling the knights, and then this will keep on happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get a spearman out. We're going to get about 4 spears, I believe I make here. And maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but just enough spears here so that our opponent actually cannot really do anything. Right now, it's like really, really hard for him. Plus, we also got the Demilancers coming now. So this is a later timing than before. It's delayed quite a lot, but we're still able to do a lot with this because our opponent's playing much more aggressive this time than they were in the last game. We can afford to go up a little bit later and still get our own aggression through. And that's the nice thing about mobility units like this. Don't use the Demilancers defensively unless really highly needed. Use them to cut off enemy reinforcements if they're on infantry. If they're on knights, just go straight for the economy. Go for their deers, go for their gold, idle them out there. That's going to reduce the knight count. Not attacking their knights. Use the spears defensively, and then get to Castle Age right after. It's that simple. You can always place your castle on the gold, and that's going to give you the option to build the manors on the gold as well. And that's going to give you extra defense, so that's a little bit of an important side note as well. Here, we go for Demilancers, we attack our opponent. He just ran out of deer here, so it's a little bit unfortunate for him. And then, of course, he has his gold here as well, so that's something we can also go and harass. And this is all idle time, and that's a massive cost for him. These Demilancers have already paid off, I would say. Now we're going Castle with King's College, and we're basically doing the same thing that we did before, just we're going Knights and Demilancers, and the Knights Demilancers will do well against the enemy Knights as well. So it can only be good for us, essentially. Now, opponents have retreated all of their units, and so when we click up, we are not going to face the timing, and that's a massive advantage. I'm also getting all my eco upgrades here now, and so I'm set up like before, just ready to produce units, go maybe 2DC, maybe more manors, and then I can play a long game if I want to, or go for a timing in the Castle Age. Again, up to you what you want to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this build. I hope you guys find Lancaster fun. There'll be a build out on Templars pretty soon as well. So enjoy the new patch, enjoy the DLC. Let me know what you think about these builds, if there are optimizations that you see. And when the nerfs come, I'll try to bring out an updated version. That's it. Hope you guys had fun, and good luck. Ciao, ciao.